Howdy folks, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, and right now I'm looking at a 95, 96 year model GMC k1500 4x4 with a 5.7 liter engine in it. This is the one that has the drive shaft that basically grenaded itself. What happened was the rear U-joints blew up. Basically, they ran dry, they got old and wore out, and as a result they basically exploded. That caused the drive shaft to come apart. It chewed up the yoke and all that on the rear end, chewed up the end of the drive shaft, all that other good stuff. So right now I've got that drive shaft sent out to a place called Six States here in Boise, Idaho, and they are probably, or at least going to be in the process of rebuilding that soon. It's probably going to take them 7 to 10 days or possibly even longer to get it done. They're a pretty busy outfit and stuff like that, so I'm waiting on the drive shaft to come in, plus I'm going to replace the yoke and all that on the rear end, so I'll definitely show you how that's all going to get fixed up. In the meantime, the owner requested that I just kind of stick my head underneath the hood and take a peek just to see if there's any other maintenance and stuff like that that needs to be done. Basically, everything I see, for the most part, this is a pretty clean truck. It doesn't look like it has any major leaks or anything aside from the normal general maintenance. A lot of what I see, like for example, maybe you can see right there, that shiny spot right where my finger is. Okay, that's a coolant leak. Alright, and actually what we would call that is not even necessarily a leak, it's more of a seep. A leak is where it's just coming out so much you see coolant puddling up, whereas this, as you can see, it's just seeping through enough just to make it wet around here. Now that will eventually turn into a leak. Let me see if I can get this camera to focus for you. Come on, camera. I'm actually headed out to buy a new camera today. I'm using a different camera, so the focus just isn't. There you go. Okay, let's move in. Alright, so yeah, down in there, you can see where it's wet. Okay, and so that is coolant that's leaking out of the thermostat gasket area. Another area where you can find that it's wet, I'm going to pause it here so I can climb up on this truck. Alright, and if you look back here, this is towards the back intake. This is the heater hose connector. Okay, that's obviously bad, and you can see it's wet down in there. It is leaking, and it looks like it's leaking down around the distributor. So it looks like the rear and the back end of this intake is actually leaking. So intake gaskets, lower intake gaskets, that's normal maintenance. That's very common on these Chevy trucks. So lower intake gaskets, along with that, throttle body gasket. A lot of people mistake this for a carburetor. It's not. It's a throttle body injector. But yes, throttle body gasket, upper and lower intake gasket, new heater hose connector, because you can see that one's just old and just completely gone. New heater hose connectors for the intake, thermostat gasket. All that really needs to be serviced and changed, and it needs to be serviced and changed pretty quick, especially before it starts getting hot, because I can guarantee you that once the summer hits, those coolant leaks are gonna just get worse and worse and worse. So definitely want to service that. And then on top of that, also want to go ahead and consider putting in a new distributor cap, rotor, spark plug wires, and spark plugs. Now I found something interesting on this. I was looking at the spark plugs, and for the most part they don't look too bad as far as the way they've worn and burned. They're pretty wore out. It's definitely time for new spark plugs, but you know, they're not completely black, or they're just not, you know, I don't see a whole lot of signs that there's a problem with the actual combustion inside of the engine. But as I was pulling spark plugs to check them, I noticed that this vehicle, this truck, has 2 different types of spark plugs in it. So that's pretty interesting, if you ask me. I think that should definitely, if we don't address anything else, I think at the least we need to at least change the spark plugs and make sure that every spark plug is the right spark plug in here, because that just blows me away. It's the first time I've pulled spark plugs and came up with one that was completely different than the other one. So there's two of them on this engine that are like this. There's one on this side and one on that side, but for the most part, this is the proper spark plug. And so I have no idea why this spark plug was in there. But anyways, yeah, so if somebody wanted to go ahead and do it all, I would say visually what we see needs to be addressed and maintained is spark plugs, spark plug wires, intake gaskets, throttle body gaskets, heater hose connectors, distributor cap, distributor rotor. I said spark plugs and wires. And obviously while you're servicing the intake, go ahead and fix up the thermostat gasket, get all that fixed up. And then while you're in there also, we would look at things like the Egr valve and all that other stuff. Make sure we put a new gasket on there. This is your Egr valve right here. So typical maintenance for Chevy: intake gaskets, tune up, just, you know, simple stuff like that, and then everything should be fixed. Now, if we were to not do this work and only fix the drive shaft, that would definitely put this vehicle back on the road. However, as you saw for yourself, I suspect some of these leaks are just going to get worse and worse over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. So I wouldn't be surprised if we ignored this maintenance. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 6 months we start seeing major coolant leaks and the engine overheating and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I see underneath the hood. And again, nothing that's outside of the box from normal maintenance there as far as GMC goes. The next thing you always want to look at is front end parts, front end and steering parts. And just about every GMC, every Chevy truck pretty much needs a new front end when you come across it. So, you know, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. I've looked under trucks and you just see these boots and everything completely blown out. So I'm thinking we could probably wait on servicing the front end. The front axle is leaking right there, as you can see. Right in this area, you see where it's a little wet and all that other stuff. So that might be something to address and all that other good stuff. But other than that, everything looks pretty good. So general maintenance, tune-up, gaskets, coolant gaskets, all that other stuff, and it should be good to go. Alrighty, folks, well, I just wanted to show you that information and, you know, let you check it out from my perspective and all that other good stuff. If you guys have any questions about inspecting your vehicles, shoot them to me in the comments. I love helping you guys out. Also, if you have any suggestions, shoot them to me. I also like learning from you guys. I really enjoy this online YouTube community that we've seemed to create it on my channel, and I really appreciate you guys for that. Alright, folks, well, this is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, signing off.